From old tins to broken plates, in today's video, we're taking you deep into the world of upcycled European garden designs, where trash transforms into treasure and neighbors stop to stare. If you've ever dreamed of a rustic backyard full of charm and color, this is the place to start. You're watching Backyard Fortune, where we turn forgotten junk into dreamy garden magic. Don't worry, we've added timestamps so you can jump to the ideas that speak to you. And if anything sparks a question or idea, drop it in the comments. We're always here to chat. One, bottle blossom borders. In the quiet hours of morning, when the sun gently stretches its light across the garden, something magical begins to shimmer, not from gemstones or designer sculptures, but from the humble curve of a plastic bottle. What once held soda or water now stands proudly as part of a blossoming garden path, transformed into colorful flower-shaped borders that glow with joy. Each bottle has been lovingly repainted, some curled into delicate petal-like forms, others left upright like vibrant sentinels guiding you through a sea of green. This isn't just decoration. It's transformation of space, of waste, and of the way we see the ordinary. In our little European-inspired garden corner, these upcycled borders aren't just whimsical. They are functional too. They frame walkways, protect delicate herbs, and keep soil in place during spring rains. Around them grow wild strawberries, thyme, and chamomile, softening every edge with life and fragrance. It feels less like a yard and more like a fairy tale that decided to grow roots. You don't need to buy anything new to do this. Simply collect old plastic bottles. They don't even need to match. The diversity in size and color can add character. Clean them, cut them into the shape you want, and paint them with weatherproof paint in cheerful tones, soft pastels, garden greens, buttery yellows, even earthy terracotta shades. Place them upside down into the earth or half buried along paths. You can play with rhythm, alternate high and low, twist them into floral spirals, or let them rise and fall like a garden melody. One viewer once told me, "I used to throw these bottles away without thinking. Now, they're the most talked about part of my backyard." That's the secret. It's not about having a big space or big budget. It's about looking again, truly looking, at the things we once considered trash, and giving them a new story to tell. And when that story blooms alongside edible flowers, ripe tomatoes, and lemony herbs, you realize beauty was always within reach. This project doesn't take much. A weekend afternoon, a bit of imagination, and maybe some curious little hands from your children or neighbors who want to help. Before you know it, you'll have a colorful, living border that draws butterflies and smiles, and more than a few curious glances from over the fence. So the next time you think about tossing that bottle, pause. Picture it here, in this path, this garden, this small piece of magic you can build with your own hands. Because sometimes, the most beautiful things aren't bought, they're rescued. Two, Rustic and Lantern Lane. As dusk settles over the garden, and the sky spills gold and lavender across the horizon, a soft glow begins to awaken from the edges of the path. It's not from store-bought lighting or sleek electrical fixtures, but from humble tin cans, pierced, painted, and reborn into something quietly magical. Lining the cobblestone walkway, these upcycled lanterns flicker with handmade grace. Some cast floral shadows on the ground, while others glow like tiny stars tucked between rosemary and ivy. You might not even notice them at first. But when the wind slows and the lavender whispers, their light feels like an invitation to pause, to breathe, to stay a while. These lanterns are not difficult to make, and they don't require much. Just a few empty cans, a nail or small drill, a splash of creativity, and a source of gentle light, be it a candle or a solar insert. You can keep them bare for a rustic farmhouse look, or paint them in muted pastels to echo the mood of a Provençal evening. Hang them from a pergola, like little planets orbiting your herb garden. Watch them sway gently above lemon trees and thyme, their cut-out moons and stars turning as twilight deepens. They bring not only beauty, but rhythm, the kind of rhythm that makes a space feel lived in, loved, and alive. In another quiet corner, above a grapevine-covered table, these cans dangle in a cluster, simple in form, but utterly rich in feeling. The light they cast isn't just functional. It's emotional. It spills warmth onto fresh figs and tomatoes, onto wine glasses, linen napkins, and old stone walls. And somehow, in that golden glow, the whole world feels slower, softer, kinder. This is the kind of project that turns waste into wonder. The kind that doesn't ask for perfection, only presence. That old can you nearly tossed last week? It could be your next lantern. Your next memory. The next soft flicker that catches someone's eye and makes them smile. Because when you let your garden glow from the things you once discarded, you're not just decorating. You're storytelling. You're adding light to the places that matter most, quietly, sustainably, beautifully. Three, terracotta treasure path. There's something timeless about walking barefoot across sun-warmed bricks, the scent of lavender thick in the air, and the soft rustle of herbs brushing your ankles. These aren't just any bricks. They've lived lives before, perhaps as the hearth of an old farmhouse, or the crumbling edge of a chimney long forgotten. Now, they lie nestled in soil, reborn as a path through strawberries and thyme, carrying you gently through a garden that feels as if it were painted by summer itself. Terracotta bricks, especially those that are broken, faded, or moss-covered, hold a rare kind of beauty. Their imperfections are what make them so inviting. When arranged as a garden path, not perfectly, but organically, they create a mosaic that speaks of stories rather than symmetry. You don't have to follow a fixed pattern. Let them twist, turn, spiral. Let them invite the eye to wander. In one corner, a simple spiral garden rises, playful and poetic. Each brick is laid with intention, forming circles that cradle pansies, violets, and sage. A small bird perches atop the wall, and the vines behind it curl as if listening. This is a space for quiet wonder, for sitting with your hands in the earth, and noticing how even a broken brick can become the foundation for something soft and living. Elsewhere, raised beds flank a clay brick path. Tomatoes glisten on their vines. Rosemary brushes your sleeve. And somewhere beneath the fig tree at the end of the trail, you feel that quiet joy of walking a path you built with your own two hands. The bricks guide your steps, but the plants, they guide your spirit. If you have leftover bricks or find some tucked behind an old shed, don't discard them. Clean them lightly, leave the cracks and curves as they are. Use them to edge garden beds, shape winding trails, or define little gathering spots beneath trees. Their rustic warmth doesn't compete with nature, it amplifies it. The best part is that it doesn't need to be complicated. A few bricks, a corner of soil, a vision of what could grow. Suddenly, you've created a path that not only leads through your garden but brings you home to yourself. In the glow of late afternoon, when the sunlight hits the bricks just right, and the strawberries peek between the thyme, you'll realize this isn't just a garden path. It's a piece of memory you can walk on every day. Four, wooden whimsy wall. In the heart of a blooming garden, where the scent of roses mingles with the sweetness of strawberries, stands a wall, not built to separate, but to grow, to nourish, and to charm. Made from humble planks of mismatched wood and slender pieces of reclaimed bamboo, this vertical garden feels less like construction and more like poetry in timber. Each panel tells a story. A weathered piece of driftwood here. A strip of old fencing there. They come together in a gentle patchwork of texture and tone, like a forgotten melody that found its rhythm again. Hanging from this wooden canvas are clay pots filled with cherry tomatoes, herbs, and bright green strawberries, fruit that almost glows in the soft afternoon sun. You don't need a perfect backdrop to build something beautiful. If you have leftover pallets, old shelves, or even broken crates, you can begin. Attach them to a frame. Let them stagger, rise, and fall with a bit of whimsy. Add horizontal supports from bamboo or scrap dowels to hold small hanging baskets or string tiny garden tools like ornaments. In another corner, the wooden wall stretches longer, rows of box planters brimming with mint, rosemary, basil, and flowering thyme. The bees come in droves. Birds land on the bamboo railings, watching quietly. The sunlight dances on the natural grain of the wood, and everything feels handmade, slow, and full of life. You can almost hear the herbs rustling stories to each other when the breeze passes through. Look closely, and you'll see small jars resting on wooden ledges, catching the light. Some hold seeds. Some, dried lavender. Others, memories, old labels, notes, and little clay figurines made by a child long grown. Ivy begins to creep along one side, curling up like it knows this wall is safe to stay. This is more than decoration. It's a rhythm of reuse, of giving old things new breath. It's not expensive. It doesn't need to be perfect. But it brings order and wonder to your garden in equal measure. A vertical wall like this can double your planting space, especially in small yards. And better yet, it creates a visual anchor, a living, edible backdrop that tells visitors, this garden is loved. So don't throw away that cracked drawer front or the bamboo screen from last summer. Save it. Reimagine it. Let it become the canvas for a garden that rises with you, vertically, beautifully, and full of food, fragrance, and fairytale charm. Five, Aquarium Fairy Terrarium. Sometimes, the smallest gardens are the ones that speak the loudest. Tucked beneath fig leaves or resting quietly atop a wooden table, a forgotten aquarium finds new purpose, no longer holding water and fish, but instead holding stories. Inside this glass box, a miniature world awakens. Moss carpets the ground in velvety green. Pebbles form winding paths. Strawberries grow near thyme, and tiny stone staircases lead to cave-like entrances and whimsical clay houses. There's a broken teacup, gently nestled into the soil, now overflowing with herbs, proof that even chipped porcelain can bloom with charm. Upcycling an old aquarium into a fairy terrarium is not just delightful, it's deeply calming. You don't need much: a layer of gravel, a bit of soil, some moss, a few edible herbs, and a handful of treasures from the kitchen drawer or the garden path. Old shells, bits of mirror, small figurines, they all find a new home here, under the glow of morning light or the dappled shade of a cherry tree. In one design, apples rest gently on the surface of the water above, while nasturtiums bloom beneath, their orange petals curling beside peppermint leaves and fairy mushrooms carved from clay. A white pebble path leads to a mushroom-shaped home, like something from a child's dream that took root and grew real. Elsewhere, another aquarium becomes a garden of motion. A tiny fountain flows beside lettuce and pansies. A wooden bridge arcs gracefully across pebbles and moss, drawing your eye to the far corner, where miniature houses peek from behind violet petals. Light bounces softly off the glass, reflecting green upon green, story upon story. These fairy terrariums aren't just decoration. They are places of pause, reminders that beauty doesn't require vast space or costly tools. Only attention, only care, and maybe one old glass box waiting to be noticed again. If you have an empty aquarium, or even a large jar, a fishbowl, or a cake display dome, you already have the beginning of something magical. Let the imagination lead. Let your hands play. And before long, your tiny garden will bloom with joy, attracting not only butterflies and bees, but also quiet smiles from every guest who stops and looks a little closer. Because sometimes, what you almost threw away can become the most enchanting corner of your entire garden. Six, Seashell Harmony Corners. They say some treasures whisper instead of shout. In quiet corners of a garden kissed by sea wind, even broken things begin to sing. Old terracotta pots split by time cradle fresh strawberries, some still green, others glowing red with the blush of ripening. Driftwood, weathered smooth by years of tide and sun, rests like ancient bones along the edges. And between them, seashells, white, pink, spiral, scallop, arranged in delicate spirals as if echoing the rhythms of the tide. This isn't just decoration. It's a reminder that harmony often begins with the humblest pieces. The first corner welcomes you with spiraling shells cradling herbs and kale, tiny kale leaves unfurling beside wild thyme, the air heavy with rosemary's whisper. You can almost hear the Mediterranean hush between the leaves. Then there's a planter hidden beneath the wide arms of a fig tree. Here, mint and raspberry thrive in companionship, while tiny fairies, crafted from wine corks and bits of string, peek joyfully through the foliage. Their wings catch the sunlight, and suddenly, the garden feels enchanted. Surrounding the bed, seashells curve like protective guardians, their edges pink like faded dreams. A stone bench waits nearby for the gardener to rest, while distant gulls remind us we're never too far from the sea. The third garden is bolder, shaped like a heart, edged with scallop shells that glow softly in the light. Sage, basil, lavender, cherry tomatoes, every herb and fruit here is thriving. Small stones are tucked gently among them like memories. It smells of salt and thyme and summer sun. Bees hover over basil blooms, and time slows to the rhythm of their wings. If you're dreaming of starting your own garden space, start here. Gather seashells from old vacations, driftwood from forgotten walks. Use cracked pots, mismatched pieces, things with stories. Let the border of your garden be a poem made from nature's castaways. You don't need to buy anything new. You need only to listen to what the earth already offers. These garden corners are not loud, but they stay in your memory long after the video fades. Because in a world that tells you to throw things away, these gardens whisper, "Look again. Beauty still lives here." 7. Mirror shard reflections. In a quiet corner of the world, where the scent of thyme lingers in the breeze and tomatoes ripen beside lavender hedges, something unexpected shimmers between the garden beds, a glint of broken glass, transformed into beauty. Most people would have tossed those shattered mirrors away without a second thought. But here, each fractured piece finds new life. Carefully embedded into a rustic wall of wood and stone, the shards reflect not just sunlight, but memories, stories, and the flicker of bees dancing in golden hour. It's as if the garden breathes with a quiet joy, awakened by its own reflection. The first step in this enchanting transformation is daring to see value where others see waste. Old mirror frames, cracked bathroom panels, or even misfit tiles, these all become pieces of a living mosaic. In one garden, we found these fragments nestled into a curved border beside calendula blossoms and crisp lettuce heads. As the day moves on, the shards shift their reflections. Now the green of grapevines, now the deep blue of sky, now a flicker of lemon tree leaves. There's something deeply grounding in this, watching nature look back at itself through broken things made whole. Further down a sun-dappled path, an archway rises like a feathered gate into another world. Its surface is alive with mirrored light, each piece cut and set by hand. No blueprint, only instinct. Behind it, strawberries peek from leafy beds, and nasturtiums flare like bright lanterns. The wind catches lavender just beyond, and the air hums with the kind of stillness only morning light can bring. It's not just a garden anymore, it's a portal, a secret doorway where even birds pause mid-flight. The beauty of mirror shard designs in a European-style garden lies not only in the aesthetic, it's in the intention. It's in the patience of hands that press each piece into concrete. It's in the playfulness of sunlight on silver edges. It's in the magic that unfolds when imperfections are honored, not hidden. And the best part? You don't need to be a professional artist. Even with limited tools and time, you can create a mosaic border, a reflective planter wall, or a shimmering trellis. Use a simple tile adhesive, wear gloves for safety, and let nature guide the design. Lay the mirrors beside herbs or along pathways, and watch your garden expand in unexpected directions. Suddenly, the smallest backyard begins to feel like a quiet villa in Provence. A forgotten fence becomes a gallery of light. And what once was trash now tells a story. One of hope, creativity, and the everyday magic of second chances. So next time you're tempted to throw those mirror shards away, stop. Look again. They just might be the key to unlocking your very own garden fairy tale. (8) Terra Harvest Oasis. There's something quietly magical about giving old things a second life, especially when they bloom into something nourishing and beautiful. In many sleepy corners of Europe, tucked between cobblestone paths and herb-scented courtyards, old tires, yes, tires, are being transformed into bursts of color, purpose, and delight. Imagine a backyard garden where pastel-painted tires become the cradle for fresh lettuces, cherry tomatoes, and sunflowers that greet the morning light. Soft shades of green, blue, and yellow nestle against a gravel path, inviting bees to linger and children to marvel. With just a little paint and soil, what was once bound for the landfill now overflows with life. This is not just gardening, it's storytelling in bloom. And just around the corner, a more playful palette awaits. Bright oranges and Mediterranean blues embrace the joy of summer. Each tire cradles strawberries, wild thyme, or lavender, creating a symphony of scent and color. The fruits peek out from under their leafy shelters, tempting fingers to pluck them while still warm from the sun. This is a garden that doesn't just grow food, it sparks wonder. It shows what's possible when we let creativity meet sustainability. Further on, nestled against a wall of ivy and aged bricks, a circular tower of green and white tiles rises like a floral cake layered with radishes, arugula, and edible pansies. It's not just a garden feature, it's a statement of quiet resilience and resourcefulness. The kind that whispers, "You can do this too." All it takes is an old tire, perhaps one forgotten behind a shed or left roadside, and a brush dipped in color. Stack them, spread them out, or build them into gentle terraces. Fill them with compost and care. Think of it as planting a little rebellion against waste. And here's a tip for those ready to try. Always make sure to drill drainage holes at the bottom, use non-toxic paint to protect the soil, and consider planting companion crops, like marigolds beside tomatoes, to naturally repel pests. This isn't just about gardening. It's about turning regret into joy, trash into treasure. It's about crafting a space that whispers of simpler days and hopeful tomorrows. A place where bees dance, herbs breathe, and every bloom tells a story. So the next time you pass by an old tire, don't see junk, see possibility. See a harvest waiting to happen. Your garden, too, could be the one neighbors peek at with a mix of admiration and a twinge of envy. And maybe, just maybe, they'll ask how you did it. And you'll smile, gently, and say, "It all began with something no one wanted anymore." Nine, Velg vintage planters. In a quiet corner of a sunlit garden, where shadows stretch softly across cobblestone and rosemary whispers in the breeze, something unexpected begins to bloom. It's not the grand gesture of marble fountains or manicured lawns that catches the eye, but the gentle charm of old wheels, reborn with a gardener's touch and a dreamer's spirit. Imagine an old bicycle rim, long retired from winding roads and countryside hills, now suspended from a wooden pergola like a halo of memories. At its center, a basket spills over with wild strawberries and golden flowers, their tendrils reaching out like they've always known the rhythm of summer light. The rim, rust-kissed and weathered, becomes more than a relic, it becomes a frame for living art. Around it, terracotta pots of basil and rosemary hum quietly in the evening air. The whole corner feels like a secret kept by time, a whisper of Tuscany, a breath of Provence. Just steps away, a trio of vintage car rims stands proud along a gravel path. Each is turned upright, their roundness now cradling herbs like sage, mint, and thyme, their roots exposed, held gently by moss and old stone. The rims wear their age with grace, painted in hues that echo the forest floor, soft clay, faded moss, and charcoal gray. They sit beneath the shelter of fig leaves, where the morning dew gathers on petals and bees move lazily from bloom to bloom. There is peace here, a kind of stillness only found in gardens where old things are given new life. And then, along a wooden fence, a gallery of motorbike rims becomes an unexpected vertical garden. Each rim holds a small pot, bursting with cherry tomatoes, pansies, or sprigs of oregano, their colors glowing in the late afternoon sun. Twine wraps gently around the pots, anchoring them like gentle embraces. A watering can leans nearby, ready for the evening ritual. It feels like the edge of a village garden, the kind that greets neighbors with the smell of fresh herbs and welcomes curious glances with a smile. The beauty of these planters is not just in how they look, but in what they represent. They remind us that every object, no matter how forgotten, holds a second story. That a wheel, once made to move, can still turn heads when rooted in earth and kissed by sunlight. If you have an old rim, bicycle, car, or motorbike, don't let it sit in silence. Scrub off the dust, let the rust stay if it tells a story, and give it a purpose. Add hooks, twine, or sturdy soil. Let strawberries fall like jewels from its center. Let herbs spill like laughter from its frame. You don't need a castle to grow a garden worthy of a fairy tale. Just a touch of curiosity, a bit of time, and a heart willing to turn trash into treasure. In the end, these are more than planters. They are poetry made practical. Sculptures shaped by salvage. Proof that the soul of a garden doesn't lie in what's bought, but in what's reimagined. And as the evening fades and fireflies flicker in the hedges, the rims remain, quietly glowing, timeless and kind, in a garden that feels like a dream remembered. Twine and burlap magic beds. In a quiet patch of soil kissed by morning light, something magical takes root, not just vegetables or herbs, but a philosophy, a way of seeing old things with new eyes. Here, beneath the dappled shade of pear trees and the hum of bees drifting lazily through the air, burlap and twine become the language of beauty, reuse, and nourishment. The first scene whispers of abundance. Raised beds, once forgotten fabric sacks now tied with sturdy rope, cradle rows of emerald lettuce, ruby radishes, and cheerful strawberry plants. The burlap, coarse and warm, softens the garden's edges and brings an inviting touch of rustic charm. These aren't just beds for growing food, they are gentle frames for life to flourish. You can almost feel the earth breathe beneath them. And the best part? Anyone can do this. Old coffee sacks, repurposed grain bags, even retired tote bags, can become miniature fields with nothing more than soil, compost, and love. Swinging in the breeze just a few steps away, a set of hanging planters dances like bells on a countryside porch. These humble pockets of earth, braided with twine and filled with thyme, marigolds, and tumbling cherry tomatoes, are more than just vertical gardens. They're reminders that beauty can grow anywhere, even from a hook, even from a bag meant to be thrown away. With just a wooden rod, a few nails, and a little curiosity, any backyard fence or kitchen porch can become a living tapestry of herbs and flowers. Then, under the sheltering limbs of an old apple tree, a circle of soft garden beds unfolds like a secret gathering place. Each one is formed with rolled-up goni and edged with rope, cradling mint, calendula, and baby carrots just peeking from the soil. The morning dew clings to their leaves, shimmering like quiet hope. A simple clay pitcher sits nearby, not just as a decoration but as a reminder of how hands-on this life can be, how real, how grounding. These aren't show gardens curated for magazines. They're invitations to step outside, to touch the earth, to create something from almost nothing. And there's a lesson here too. The things we're tempted to throw away may hold the power to transform our spaces, and maybe even ourselves. So gather your twine, your burlap, your bits and pieces of what once was. Stitch them into something new. Grow with them. Let your garden become not just a place to harvest, but a sanctuary. One made of second chances, quiet mornings, and the gentle rustle of leaves in a breeze that smells like dill and thyme. This is the heart of the upcycled European garden, not perfection, but soul. If this video sparked inspiration, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that little bell so you won't miss more magical ideas from Backyard Fortune. Every click supports this small, heartfelt channel, and helps keep these DIY dreams alive. Sparkles. Thanks for watching, and remember, magic starts with what you already have.